Hello, my name is Martin Orlando. Welcome. Music is my life. Today I will talk about the music of the 70s. But first, I'd like to talk about my book again. This is my first book. It's The Maze of Anything. And at the back of each of the books, I have a poem. And it is the key to the music and outline of my story. The Maze of Anything by Martin Orlando, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple Books. I started collecting records in 1983. It all started with the 45 RPM records, and then progressed to albums, CDs, and digital songs of today. These are the 45 RPMs from the 70s. Most of these records are greatest hits records. I will show you the differences in the record labels. Starting with ABBA. And these record labels are oldies series. They're like the greatest hits. There's Waterloo, Honey Honey. Got Money Money Money, Knowing Me, Knowing You. Now this label here is also an oldies series. It's just a different color label. And I have another one of those. It's The Name of the Game and Take a Chance on Me. I have one of Paul Anka's greatest hits, You're Having My Baby, and I Don't Like to Sleep Alone. This one, they call it the Silver Spotlight series. That's Capitol Records. And I got a couple of the Bee Gees old 45s. Got Night Fever, that was from Saturday Night Fever. And More Than a Woman. This was a top line RSO, and this was a greatest hits series. Now this record is an original. Jive Talking was on the front side, and on the B side was Wind of Change. This one has a little hole in it. I think someone at one time hung this up really high in their record shop or something. And that's why that hole is there. I don't know. And some of the labels are stereo, and some of them are mono. Back in the 60s, they had a lot of mono records before stereo came out. I got another one of those greatest hits. This one's Stephen Bishop, On and On. This was from his LP, Careless. And Save It for a Rainy Day, because those were both his big hits in the 70s. I have a Blondie hit here, Heart of Glass. And then they also had Hanging on the Telephone. They started in 1979. They became real popular in the 80s. Debbie Harry is the lead singer of Blondie. I have a record from Bread, Make It With You. This one's a mono. Same thing with the backside, It Don't Matter to Me. This was one of their greatest hits. I like disco too, and this is Alicia Bridges. Her big hit, I Love the Nightlife, Disco Round. This is an original. The backside is Self-Applause. She was a little on the jazzy side too, and this was a good good song of hers on the back. This one, they say timepiece. Maybe it is, but I'm not sure. I have Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville. My tastes in music are very, very eclectic. I have lots of different songs in my collection. And then Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes. This was also a greatest hits record. I have Glenn Campbell, Rhinestone Cowboy. And Country Boy, You Got Your Feet in L.A. This record, I don't know if you see it or not, but it looks like there's a rhinestone in there. I've always noticed that when I first purchased this record. Kind of glimmers a little, see that? I have a couple of the Captain and Tennille songs. Love Will Keep Us Together. The Way I Want to Touch You. And then this one came a little later. Do That to Me One More Time. And Happy Together, A Fantasy. These were all greatest hits. And I have a couple of the Carpenters hits. We've Only Just Begun. This one I remember my dad had an 8-track tape of this group, the Carpenters. I remembered a lot of the 8-track tapes my dad had, so I had to see if I can find these songs. This one came a little bit later, but Sing. And they did that song on Sesame Street. And Yesterday Once More. I have a couple of Chicago songs. Oh, that one's falling apart. Baby, What a Big Surprise. Taking It On Uptown. This one is a promo or a demonstration CD. I found this in one of the record shops in Phoenix here. Chicago, Alive Again. This was like a DJ's record. It has the same song on both sides, but there's stereo on the one side and mono on the other. For those single stereos that just had the one speaker. And I have another Chicago song. This is one of their greatest hits. Saturday in the Park. And Dialogue Parts 1 and 2. I have an old Commodores, Three Times the Lady. This was like their big hit in the 70s. I think it was like 78. Too Hot to Trot. I love this lady. Rita Coolidge. Higher and higher, you lift me high. You lift me. Your love has lifted me higher and higher. I'm sorry there. And then the backside, Who's to Bless and Who's to Blame. Tongue twister. Jackie Wilson did this song in the 60s. This was his big hit. And we got Paul Davis, I Go Crazy, and Reggae Kinda Way. And then we have Dawn featuring Tony Orlando, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree. Say, has anybody seen my sweet gypsy rose? I'm not related to this guy. His last name's Orlando, too. Here's one of my favorites, Rocky Mountain High by John Denver. And the backside is Spring. These are a couple of his greatest hits. I have the group Dire Straits. This one came out in '78, The Sultans of Swing. And then Down to the Waterline. See, back-to-back hits. These are like greatest hits. And I have Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, Sylvia's Mother. Carry Me, Carry. These were kind of two of their big hits of the '70s. I have the group The Emotions, Best of My Love. This was a remake of one of the Eagles hits, and they did it disco. A Feeling Is, another one of their big hits. Here's an old record I found in one of the record shops here in Phoenix. Just Remember I Love You by Firefall. And You Are the Woman. Another one of my favorite bands of the '70s. I have a couple of records from Roberta Flack. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. And Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? This one I purchased at a mall. I think it was Sam Goody in one of the malls here. Killing Me Softly with his song. 50 years ago today, this was the #1 song. It spent 5 weeks at #1. The whole week, the whole month of March. And Trade Winds. This is a really good song. Rod Stewart did a version of this song too. And then the last one for today, Foreigner. Oh no, this is Roberta Flack also. Closer I Get to You. And If Ever I See You Again. And here's my 2 Foreigner records, Hot Blooded and Tramontane. Feels Like the First Time and Cold as Ice. This is one of my favorite bands of all time, Foreigner. Okay, and then I got a special for you. The top artists of the '70s, and this is Led Zeppelin. I bought this in 1990 when it first came out. I was really proud to get this. It's remasters, Led Zeppelin. Had like 3 CDs. It has their crop circles, but that's the Zeppelin in the crop circle. And there's the band right there, Led Zeppelin. We got Robert Plant. He did lead vocals. Jimmy Page, guitarist. John Paul Jones. He did bass and keyboards. And then John Bonham, he did the drums. What an awesome drummer he was. Most of their major songs were Whole Lotta Love, Immigrant Song, Black Dog, Dire Maker, Trampled Underfoot. Led Zeppelin's most famous song is Stairway to Heaven. It was never released as a commercial single. And then I got the #1 female artist of the 70s, Diana Ross. I bought this in 1991. It's like a really nice box set. Has all her songs. I'll open it up here. Forever Diana. Came with a little book. And then the CDs. First one was all her songs from when she was with the Supremes. And then this is her 70s hits. She had a lot of big hits in the 70s. This third CD is her 80s tunes. And then this was her favorite hits she wanted to play. She made another CD there. Some new ones on there. But that was back in 1991, so a long time ago. My favorite band of the 70s is Styx. This was their anthology. I got this back in 90-something, 98, when it first came out. It's a 2 CD set. And there's the band. Got some better pictures of them there. It's really cool. There's Tommy Shaw. He did vocals and lead guitar. Dennis DeYoung did most of them, vocals and keyboards. James Young, let's say it's that guy there. There was 2 brothers, John and Chuck Panozzo. And it could be these 2 or it could be these 2, I'm not sure. And they were on Easter Island on that picture. They were the #1 tour-going bands in the 70s. A lot of big hits. Lady, Lorelei, Mademoiselle. Come Sail Away, that's one of my favorites. Babe, they ended the decade with Babe. And that album went through the 80s. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.